Hey everyone, welcome to Working with Designers, a podcast where design meets business. I'm Kristin Silva, and alongside co-host Jake Cooper, we dive into the real stuff behind branding, client work, creative strategy, and running a design business. We keep it honest, a little nerdy, and always practical, so whether you're a designer or just working with one, there's something here for you. Let's get into this week's episode. So, Jake, what do you want to talk about today? We already kind of have a topic, but I like to pin you on it.
Oh, well, I will be pinned. Today, We're going to talk about AI and creative work. Because I think it's a really big topic right now. People are talking about how AI is going to replace me and how can I take advantage? I feel like I'm missing out by not using AI. There's a lot of complicated feelings around it, and no better time to talk about it than now.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it being like, was the title The Future of Design, which sounds like a really bold take. But
it's our clickbaity type.
Clickbait. Yeah.
And we've definitely been talking about AI already, but we figured give AI the space to be fully talked about in one episode.
I just realized something. I think I just naturally lean.
Yeah, you're a leaner.
Sorry. Trying to get into this, like, I know it because we do these mini clips and you see the frame and I'm like, this?
Yeah.
And that's what you're trying to correct. And I'm over here like, so.
I'm like, I love the lean. The lean is great, but I would like your face to be in the clip.
Okay. I'm working on it. That and you're tapping, right? Not to.
I know. Yeah. I am
now that we're
not perfect.
No. So Jake, when we're talking, if anyone's hearing, Jake does this thing where he, in the background, you guys don't see like
you can see it on yours now. Yeah, yours is shaking a bit.
Well, when you're really passionate or in some kind of like deep thought, you kind of put your hand down and it kind of does this like, I don't know if you can hear that through my headphones, but there's like a click and then this kind of shakes a little bit and you're just like processing, but I know what you're doing with your hands.
Yeah.
We'll become pro at some point, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Once I stop leaning and you stop tapping.
At some point, I'll have a background that's not just my office. It's not just,
I love it. This is so sterile as fuck, but here we are. It's fine. Soundboards, you know?
Yeah. No,
mid-century modern-looking soundboards.
Clean, very easy, calm background. Not this chaos behind me. But...
Yeah, I gave it a lot of thought coming on to this because, you know, I've been not diving too heavily into AI. There's a race going on right now. Everyone's like implementing AI before really understanding it from my understanding. And so I'll jump into I've officially downloaded Canva, which for anyone of at least our age knows how weird that is.
As any professional designer can say how weird that is.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to just understand what the hype's about that. And then, you know, there's a couple other tools that I'm like tinkering with, specifically in Adobe. ChatGPT, I'm always exploring. I think everyone's kind of integrated ChatGPT to a degree into their kind of methods. I've picked up a book that, what is it called? That I'm interested in reading. It's not here yet. Superintelligence by Nick Bostrom.
I haven't heard.
Have you heard about that?
No, I'll check it out.
So when I was reading the reviews on it, it's called Superintelligence: Paths, Dangers, and Strategies, and it talks about sort of the, you know, there's positives and negatives. And it's just giving you kind of a bigger outlook, or from what I understand, I didn't read it yet, but it's a book about just trying to understand how to be a responsible maker and creator in this space, and a responsible person using these tools in probably the most profound moment in our technology era. Or, you know, in our level of inventions, this is going to probably be the biggest one we've ever had because of the ability that we all understand that AI can surpass the intelligence of humans. So the kind of concerns with the control factor once it goes from artificial intelligence to super intelligence. Anyway, got a lot of great reviews. I'm going to be reading that once that comes in so we can talk about it more if, I don't know, if you look into it and want to read it too, but
yeah.
So
it's funny. I've been reading a book called Super Communicators rather than Super Intelligence.
Are you liking it?
Yeah, it's very good. It's about how to have like effective communication, effective conversations. So it comes across all of these like business book lists and things, but it's kind of more general purpose. It's more like relationship focused. But it's good.
Cool.
It's a lot of like, listen to what people are saying, and everybody has a goal in a conversation. Try and make your goals explicit in ways that match the other person. Like little tips like that. But it's an easy read.
When it comes to communication, I think we've talked about it before. I'm such a question person. Like I hound people with questions and I don't disclose anything about myself. And I've realized that that's actually like, it starts turning into like, not interrogation, but like I need to be more like approachable maybe with like, hey, I'm Kristin. Oh, that reminds me, like I also have that in common. Like I find that
You're
that's
just
like
running up to people like, what are your favorite books?
Who do you work for?
Who do you work for? Why would you do this?
Where are you? Yeah. Where are you located? Yeah. No, but like, yeah, I just have that like curious brain. And then I'm like, I'm not curious. Like, why? I'm not interesting, but really it's just me selfishly not wanting to hear myself talk,
I do the same thing where I ask people like, oh, so how'd that make you feel? Or what did you think about that? And they're like, I want to move on.
Yeah. You're like, oh,
okay. Sorry.
Yeah. It's like you then want to come in and be like, so I'm a brand strategist, which basically means that I just analyze the shit out of your business and, understand the personalities behind it and how to drive it forward. And then they're like, oh, I see. Okay. So, all right.
So you did a lot of research on AI. Is that what you're saying?
I don't think I did a ton of research, but I did make sure that I thought about it a lot, I would say. I don't know if I did a ton of research.
I didn't either. So we're shooting from the hip.
That's okay. I think people kind of rather have that. Like, how are you handling, what kind of people are coming to you and asking you to do certain things? I mean, has it changed for you in your business?
The amount of clients that are like, oh, just use AI to remove that thing in the background. And I'm like, it can't do that exactly.
Oh.
Like that, you think it can do that, but it's more complicated than that. It's not the sweep under the rug of like, oh, it's just a simple thing. When no, it's not. That's starting to increase in terms of my own experience.
Yeah, I would say pretty similar, but not, I mean, yeah, it's on the visual side, it seems to be more than anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, I had a client that they generated some icons that they really liked, and they were like, we like these, but we want them to be ours. And I was like, all right, I passed it over to my illustrator. It wasn't my job. And I was like, they were actually almost in the like trend zone, I shouldn't say trend zone, but the zone of like what we developed for them. Like they were close enough for me to be like, okay, I can direct him to kind of take these instead of take these off of another inspiration resource. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah. So how are people approaching you with AI? Or how does AI come up in your experience? Do people bring it, they've already done stuff through AI and they bring it to you, or they're asking, like, can you do this?
really gotten a lot of requests that are related to that, to be honest. I'm trying to think. So I've had a lot of smaller, I haven't had a lot of huge projects this last quarter. It's all been small, but business has picked up in the small business category for me for some reason, which I wasn't seeing happen. But no, a lot of the stuff that it hasn't really affected my client base.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know what that means, but I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to affect me. Yeah. Maybe the big business isn't coming because I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So too soon to tell, but I will say that the conversation is there. I mean, last night, even at the like little networking thing, and the networking thing that I was part of, or these like roundtable circles, is not to like source from each other. It's just to try to like familiarize yourself with other consultants and like have a good group of just people in business kind of doing a similar trajectory in a sense of running your own business. But there was a conversation that came up last night that was like, someone was like, oh, I need a logo and I need this. And it wouldn't be the kind of, I don't really work with people at the beginning of their like new beginnings that much. I kind of work with companies in transition anyway, which is more strategic. So maybe that's why I haven't really felt it. But in that conversation, she was like, oh, I don't have any of this stuff. I don't know where to start. And like two other people were like, go on Canva. Like you can generate your own logo. And I was like, if you have no money, like how are we not supposed to tell these people to like, well, I can't tell you if it's a good direction, but.
Well, that's the thing is like at that early stage of a business, how important is that logo? And is it worth spending a real designer? That sounds a little harsh, but like, is it worth spending money and actually doing it? Why not?
Jake's hot take. Jake's take.
Fuck
I like
those
it.
Designers.
Jake's take. No, I agree though.
Yeah.
And I don't want to work with those people. You're still trying to figure out your own identity. No offense.
Right.
It's a lot of work for no money.
On both sides of it, it's like I can help you, start from scratch and give you a real solid thing. But if your business isn't tested yet, it's not really going to have true efficacy because you have so many other problems to figure out before design can really make an impact. Like you're still figuring out your product. You're still figuring out your service. You're still doing all these other things.
Yeah. And I think that the work that you and I often love doing, probably why you're kind of considering sort of pivoting, we'll call it right now. We don't know what to call it. Is it's like someone that has an infant come to you and say, hey, can you make what their 20-year-old uniform's going to look like? Now,
right. Yeah.
I don't have nearly 90% of the information I'm going to need. And you don't either. No one. And they don't either.
Yeah. That's a good point. Is like they don't have enough data to really support any direction beyond gut feeling.
Yeah.
So maybe use AI to get you started.
Yeah. From a visual standpoint, just don't over design yourself. That's my thing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a cost benefit of like how much effort are you putting into this design before actually seeing it get used in the way it's intended. But yeah, I remember I used to like poo-poo the fucking GoDaddy had a logo generator and Squarespace had a logo generator.
Sorry. Yeah.
But
I'll still trash GoDaddy.
I use them for my domains, but that's about it.
Do you really?
Just because that's where I got them from.
I think they're the worst customer service out of all of them.
Yeah.
But
I knew their creative director though. Which
whoops.
is cool.
Well, they're not customer service, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Tell them the customer service sucks. No, I mean, I'm speaking from something like 10 years ago. I'm not even, I don't use GoDaddy. I use Domain for everything.
Domain? Just Domain?
Domain.com. All my domains are on domain.com.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. I'll have to check it out.
I don't know if it's excellent. It's just what I've always used.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is like, how good do you need a domain provider to be?
That's fine.
You're just buying the name.
I've had clients, and this is why I don't like GoDaddy. And we might have to, is this considered, do we have to keep some of this out? Are we like totally just like,
I think we could shit on GoDaddy. I think that's fine.
That's fine.
Everybody else does. Why?
Perfect.
Why shouldn't we? Yeah.
I don't know. So they're not going to be future advertising.
Yeah.
No, I've just, it hasn't been through me. It's been through working with previous clients who had horrible experiences, and they were on the smaller side, and they were in their early beginnings, or maybe a couple of years in, and they had maybe gone vacant on their whatever they were working on, and GoDaddy doesn't keep anything in their like archive for more than 30 days, which is astoundingly like a small time. Yeah. And so everything got wiped for more than one person. And like, it's weird, right? It's like, you don't really, if you're not using something and you're kind of busy with something else, you don't really think about it. But 30 days is, that's rough. So I just have always, ever since that, and it was like, I think it happened one to one client, and it happened like to like 2 or 3, and never something I ever did. I never used GoDaddy. Not that I had any issues with it. It was never on my radar. So, yeah, after like the 3rd complaint, I was like, screw these guys. Not ever. Just so anytime anyone's ever come to me, I hate to say this, and they've had their domain in GoDaddy, I transfer it to domain. I transfer it out immediately. Yeah. Yeah.
So. I mean, I think they're an utterly replaceable company. Like, I don't know who are the advanced users of GoDaddy, but when I build websites, I use them for domains, but that's about it. Because I can now use Framer, or I can use Webflow, or all these other alternatives that make like depending on a domain provider or a hosting provider kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, so we're at a weird intersection with design being accessible more than ever.
Yeah.
And also misunderstood more than ever.
Yeah.
So where do we want to go?
I know. Where's a good spot? Well, I was trying to see how do you use AI in your business? Like we talked about.
I don't know if I ever answered that.
We talked about like not really using it for visual, but you use it for research. You use it for coming up with headlines and stuff like that.
Well, okay. Before I answer that, I'm going to pull us off that again. Sorry. There was an article that came out recently that is saying that anything that's generated out of AI is not copyrightable. True or false?
Now your camera's shaking.
No, sorry. I'm pointing down. Sorry.
Anything that comes out of AI is copyrightable?
Not copyrightable.
Not copyrightable?
That includes logos. That includes taglines.
Yeah. That's a whole legal area that I'm going to wait and see how the fuck they do that. Because you're right. Like, it's generated off every other thing. So is it truly unique? But that's the whole, everything is a remix debate where everything is based on everything. So what is really original? I know something that was in the news is did you do the Studio Ghibli filter?
No.
The AI filter?
But I felt so bad for them.
So I did one. I have to admit. I did one because it's fun. They're going
to fine you?
No. Well, I'm not going to make money off it. I'm not going to, sell my picture with that. But it was fun to do. Why not? Why not play around? But some people are like, I would never ask AI to generate this thing. And it's like, I get it, but it's a reality of this thing exists. This thing is taking samples of information everywhere, and you're not going to be able to avoid it forever.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying that it should be doing that. But at a certain point, if it's just for personal use, I don't see really harm in it. But I do see if you're suddenly charging people for it or, making money off it when it's based on artwork that you had no business in the creation of, then I see the problem with it. But that's the thing. It's like, it's not monitored, it's not regulated. So
it gets hairy. I mean, I think that right now you could probably make a clear divide if this was generated from AI, and there's a history of that, which any of our computers probably could clearly develop for us.
Yeah.
I could see that being non-trademarkable. Yeah. The advanced AI that's not here yet, that keeps coming down the pipeline, that's going to be difficult. That's going to be a real difficult thing to figure out. I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, what else can you say?
Yeah, I almost wonder with like the grooming, that weird word to use, but I'm going to use it. The grooming of like computer like generated artwork in general. I'm curious to know if we're going to go through this phase similar to how like print has had a new spike, like people love material print stuff these days. I do wonder if just like people seeing like imperfection in branding is going to be like a human made this. I could tell because it's not perfect. And then everyone's like, yes, you know, and you're like, weird, but like that could happen. That could be a phase, you know?
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing illustration back on the rise. I'm seeing like collage work back on the rise, hand-drawn things. For sure. I think there is going to be that response just because it feels, you know, it's anti-trend. I don't know if it's more like ethical than that or more realistic than that, but it is against trend where everything is going AI to suddenly do some handcrafted stuff, but I don't hate it at the same time.
Now, to answer your question that you've asked like maybe 10 minutes ago. So I don't use the AI for taglines other than for maybe our podcast, to be honest. Because I'm not sure. I don't think I have tried generating them. I'm not going to deny that. I haven't enjoyed any of them. I don't think any of them have hit the mark, to be honest. So I don't know. Maybe that's just it's not connected to the storyline or the like human human connection part of like any of the brands I work with. So like that's very difficult. It all feels very watered down and like stale.
Yeah.
But maybe there's going to be a turning point in that. Who knows? But no, I use AI for a couple things, and I may have brought this up before. I use it a lot for my email replies. I write in what I want to say, and then I have it tell me not remove my.
Can you nice this up a bit?
Yeah, 100%. Nice this up 10 times because I'm very direct. I'm a direct communicator, which doesn't come off well it's fine. It's just not bubbly. It's direct. I mean, direct communication in writing is sterile, and you don't know if someone's what it is. You know what I mean? Which
email is particularly hard because you don't know how they're taking it on the other side.
Yeah.
You don't know what kind of tone or space they're in, so you kind of have to be as polite as possible sometimes.
And I don't know how to really know what that means, you know? Yeah. But yeah, so AI comes in and helps me there a lot. That's like my number one.
I've done it. I've done the same thing where like if I have a really difficult email that like I know what I want to say, but I don't know how to thread it, where I'm like, I don't think we should work together, but I don't mean that maliciously. I want to stress that it's this and that. I can just kind of tell ChatGPT, this is what I want to say. Can you make it nice? And it'll usually save me some grief of trying to do it myself.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm just like a detail-oriented like person when I write out, and I'm just like, make it short. I don't need this guy to know all the details of my head. I just need this to be short and succinct. And because that's like the most successful for emails, for messages in general that are handwritten. You just need it to be like, just get the bare minimum across.
Yeah.
Like you don't need this huge thing. So
you can do this thing where like you add too much detail or too much specificity and it just kind of reads as anxious. So it's
so like, anxious.
Can you just ChatGPT strip it down?
Strip
just
it
make
down,
it simple.
man. Yeah. So, yeah, if there's one piece of advice, if anyone doesn't do that yet, oh my God, it's amazing because you look far more professional. And it's not that you mean to not, it's just, I'm not good at that. That is not a strong suit of mine. So, ChatGPT helps me out tremendously in the email category. Another thing I use, I like it for outlines for
Yeah.
proposals. All my proposals are outlined and vetted through ChatGPT. They're not perfect. They don't necessarily get it right. It takes about like 10 times for me to do it, but it takes me far faster to go through the ChatGPT route for developing my proposals than not using it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Brainstorming. Really good.
brainstorming, if you enter
Yeah.
your brainstorming into ChatGPT, I like. Yeah. Where I don't use ChatGPT, I don't like it generating just its own thing unless it's actually I've used it for mental health too.
Oh yeah. Me too.
Like just I'm feeling this way. I did this. I had 10 red flags come my way and I was still like, should I like move forward and work with this person? I feel like I shouldn't, and I'm not feeling good about it. And so I like had this moment. Maybe that's not mental health. I don't know. Maybe that's just a business thing.
Yeah.
But so I asked ChatGPT, like, this is how I'm feeling. Is this going to serve me? Is there a way that I can work with this person so that this would serve me well? And they were like, nah, no, like, definitely not. Your feelings are valid. This is not okay in business. And like, that's actually like awesome, you know? So
I can't wait until we have ChatGPT like humanoid visualizations so that it can just give you that nah response.
nah.
It's like a cabbie.
Like a Siri or something. Like you change the version. Like, I would like this to be in this accent now. Yeah.
Right.
Or this character. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Can you respond as a Long Island mom and tell me, talk to me in that
Get
kind of paternalistic way? Yeah.
No.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing though with ChatGPT where I fed it. I did two things. So I wanted to experiment and just kind of see how good it could be at recommending some like therapeutic advice. And I used the Headspace app for meditation.
Yeah.
And they recently launched their own AI within their app so that you can like ask it questions. And anytime I would ask it questions, it would be like, just so you know, we can't recommend anything to you, but we can help you process your thinking. I'm like, fuck that. I give you permission to take the risk. Like, actually give me something.
Yeah.
So then I turned to ChatGPT. Yeah. Like, I don't care about your legal bullshit. Let's play.
Play with fire, baby.
Yeah. So I went to ChatGPT and was like feeding it all this information, and just as an experiment was like, pretend you're Sherlock Holmes. Pretend all you can do is make deductions based on what I've told you, characteristics that I've described, and this, and just give me your general like read on what you think this might mean or what this might say about me. And the feedback was really like compelling, really interesting, and kind of spot on. So I just kept feeding it more information about how I felt about things or what I was thinking about things. And I could ask it questions, and it would do a really good job of threading things that I wasn't connecting. So it would connect like, oh, this thing might be a cognitive bias you have that you talked about over here. That might be coming up in this thing that you're talking about now. So it was super helpful to like get something working in that kind of way. So does it replace a therapist? No, but it had some really interesting takes. So,
well, I think branching off of that last part, is it a therapist? No, but it has these things. I think, hot take here, I think that artificial intelligence or whatever, ChatGPT, whatever you want to call this, what we'll talk about in general, it is excellent at being a reactor, a reaction. It's a reaction. It is not a collaborator. It can't physically be a collaborator, I think.
Yeah. Not in an innovative way, because it is taking
That's
the
what I mean.
amalgam of all the other things. It's a collaborator of averages, essentially.
I wouldn't even try to put collaborator in there. But I know what
Yeah.
you mean. There you can wiggle it in, obviously. But I do think that if you look at it like it's reacting to, I don't know. I might not make sense right now. We're just gonna go with it. It reacts to this information that you've given it, right? But to me, to truly collaborate, you need like a lifeline of experience and like
Yeah.
breathing in air, going out in nature, being able to like, I think our brains, I think there's something very lovely about the human brain. Is it intelligent? No, I think AI is showing how unintelligent we are. But I think that from a collaborative standpoint, we are collaborators in
Yeah.
nature. I don't think that is a nature thing with AI.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
I think if there's any collaboration that's happening with
Yeah.
AI, it's you collaborating with yourself.
Oh,
Because
100%.
Because you're feeding it all the conditions, all the
Yep.
boundaries. Because like whenever I ask ChatGPT to like come up with an answer to something, I'm like, what would this person say? And I reference a specific book or specific author, or I say consult the experts on blank. So it's like it's never really coming up with an original idea, but you can start to filter essentially what would be hours of research going through down to this like time-savvy summary.
Yeah, and also to build off of that, now ChatGPT isn't a localized AI. Does Google have localized? I heard Google did.
Does.
Did you tell me
Google,
that?
I think
Someone
so.
told me.
I
Okay.
believe Google Notebook LM is a local language model where you feed it its own sources and it just creates answers
Okay.
based on what you feed it.
I think that is far more. Okay, well, that may be getting into a model where you could copyright because you're just
Yeah.
mirroring your own, well, we'll call it curation because I don't know where you're pulling your research, what you're pulling into it. Could be your thoughts or external. But that is a curated, maybe trademarkable in the end, output.
Yeah.
But things that are just totally open and not like localized, I think that's where it gets weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To then start using like ChatGPT as like a headline generator or,
Yeah.
copy that. I mean, I've generated copy with ChatGPT. I've edited it a lot, but I mean, I think that like, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about like long form, like whatever, writing out whatever essay you need to and then throwing it in and it making a far better version of whatever you needed it to. But, for things that are more on that brand ownership thing.
Yeah. So I will say I have used ChatGPT to write my stuff a lot.
Without putting anything in it?
No, well, that's the thing is
Okay.
I put a lot into, like, I give it my own thoughts and then say, like, make the article from it. Like, thread the things together.
Okay, so I wouldn't say that
You
that's...
wouldn't say?
Well, do you read it before you hit send
I don't
afterward?
just hit post. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're speaking the same language. I'm not saying ChatGPT, create me an essay on this based on this. I'm like, what I'll do is I'll digest whatever information I need to create. Say I'm creating a blog post.
Mm-hmm.
I digest whatever I want. Listen to this podcast, read this thing, do this, or if maybe it's just something hot on the brain from the week of my conversations. So I sit down and I just type. I just let my mind ramble. This is where I'm like concerned about ChatGPT and where it's going. I don't know like if this is good that I'm feeding it this much of my brain. But what I'll do is not that I'm like this, like not to be, it sounds like an arrogant statement, not that I have like any, professional writing brain background here.
It's the same argument, though, of like, well, then why not let Amazon listen to all your thoughts and conversations?
Right?
I'm like, because that's fucked up, but
yeah.
No, I've got nothing to hide, but also.
Please don't make a copy of me. That's weird. Yeah, exactly. So no, but I'll sit there and I'll do that. Like, I think I've talked about it before. I had a wonderful writer as a small business, like small client, like years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And she had this lovely quote. I can't remember it, but it was about, it was a famous writer that was just kind of like, let your mind ramble until your brain totally empties and then pick up the pen, but don't try to refine while you're trying to write out your thoughts. So I've been in more of that practice of like writing every day, writing what I'm kind of thinking of and what I'll use. And this is probably where you're going. Once I effortlessly get out whatever I need to out of my brain, I then pump it into ChatGPT and be like, make sense of my chaos, please. Like, what am I trying to say?
Yeah.
What's the strongest thing that I'm talking about? What do I need to remove? So is that what you're kind of saying you do?
Yeah. Well, I'll even feed it less than just like stream of consciousness thoughts on a subject. I'll kind of feed it specific bullet points and then have it start to build out an article from there. Because I have like the takeaways in mind when I'm writing something. So I'll feed it those and then ask it to like thread it through this template or thread it through this format and take care of the connecting.
If you don't mind, I'm going to try to summarize this. We're becoming more valuable as curators.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, yes, that's the biggest takeaway for any AI conversation is the importance of taste, the importance of curation is only getting bigger and bigger and more important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there is this like consciousness that's coming to mind when you're using it where you're like, would this be a good value of my time to do this without ChatGPT or without whatever it is? Let me try this. And I'm bringing this up because, we edit our own podcast and I'm right now cold editing like our last podcast because I just didn't like the suggestions from the softwares we use, which isn't actually well, it is, but it isn't. But
no, it's using AI to make the edits.
It's using AI
to generate clips.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes that's an okay thing. It's taking me a little longer, obviously, but I think that I can cross-reference and be like, okay, this is what it suggested, and I actually think those are the most human parts of our podcast. Yeah. So I'm not going to take that out. And so what I did was I was like, when I started listening to it, anytime that I felt like I fell flat, like I was just like not listening anymore, I made a mark and be like, I don't find myself listening to this. Let me look over that again. Has nothing to do with anything,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't love the first pass edit when AI does it for our podcast. Because it wants to strip out every pause, every long thing, and I feel like that's what makes a podcast a podcast. It's people listening to us take our time to think.
Yeah. And just to be clear with some people that are listening, we try not to over edit. We try to be pretty... Sometimes it depends on the mood. Sometimes we feel like we need to edit. Sometimes we don't.
To peel back the curtain a little bit, we've made intentional efforts to not script everything and not be super precise and let the conversation kind of go where it goes.
Yeah.
And that's what you get when you listen to us.
Mm-hmm. So what are your positives coming out of ChatGPT? And, AI. I guess mostly we're talking about ChatGPT at this point.
Yeah, that's the one that I pay for. If there are other models that I don't care to explore because they cost money.
Well,
but if they were all free, I would look elsewhere. But it's like the streaming wars. Like I can only afford HBO this month, so I'm going to use ChatGPT for the same reason. I can't also afford Claude AI or the other services.
I do want to bring up, I do think that there is this pressure on designers to get ahead of the ball because they're like, if we don't use AI, we're going to be irrelevant in like a year. But like, okay, maybe we are. But I guess my take on that is that why use it when it's like a guinea pig. Like there are we're seeing it right now. Everyone is off to the races trying to figure out who can dominate the market. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just going to happen right now. That's what we're at. We're at a peak of it. This happened when, I'm sorry, I'm now doing this and you can see me shaking probably. It's like we saw this when apps came out, when the smartphone came out, you know?
Right.
And okay, fine. You know what I mean? But we're going to like learn all of this kind of like at par on top of all the other things we're already learning.
Yeah.
And pivoting from. I don't know. I think my take is like, again, I bought a book on it. I've looked up some courses. Some of them are really too expensive for me. And I also am being very wary on being like, it's kind of like taking a web design course in like the early 90s. It's like,
it's too early. Yeah.
It's too early. It's not even in a history book, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Be patient with yourself is what I'm saying.
Be patient. Be patient. But yeah, I was going to say my feeling on that is that everybody's trying to get AI to do everything for them. And that's why they're like, buy this $1,000 course or learn how to sync all these different apps together. And it's like, it's going to be irrelevant quickly because they're already coming out with new ways for that to happen automatically. And technology is going to get better. And I think it's more important to figure out how to tastefully integrate AI into your services, into your process, than let it take over. Like I use ChatGPT AI to help me think through things, help me come up with ideas, but not to, make images or design my websites or design my work. I know they have those features in Figma where you can let it like do a first pass design, but everybody knows those are not great. And it's
That's
not
the
there
same.
yet. Yeah,
If
it's
your
very homogenized.
If your whole idea is to be different, why are you doing a streamlined process to begin with?
Exactly. I will say the positive is it in the instances where it saves me time rather than comes up with original thought, it's perfect. Like I've been using Figma has an AI replace content feature where it'll take anything that's got like a sequential group of type or components that has type in it, and it'll rewrite so that each one of them has original copy in each of the instances, and they all kind of relate together. So if you give like a number in one, it'll make the rest of them sequential. Mm-hmm. Or if you type in the name of like a pastry or something, all of them will then become pastries. Or if you give it a quote, they'll all become quotes. So it'll save me the time of like having to either lorem ipsum it or have it all be the same and just look like duplicates. But it'll still be giving me that variation that tells me like typographically this line length is too short, needs to be longer, or not accounting for these things. So it does add value in that way. So that's my plus for AI.
Yeah. I think like on a bigger side that you've already sort of touched on is that I think that I'm going to say both of our days, but my day specifically has dramatically become far more efficient because I'm not, because the idea generation part of my brain can get sorted out quicker, and I can get quicker into whatever I need to do from a strategy side and a design side, and whatever visual things, and tie everything together. But yeah, I can do far more in less time because now if I don't have an agenda that feels right, or if I feel stuck, I have something, this tool that can get me out of that in seconds.
Yeah.
And I think that's incredible. I love it. I love this moment. I think it's great, but I get it. It's fragile like any other new piece of technology.
Yeah. I couldn't say it better. I really love the things that I use ChatGPT for. I wouldn't let it kind of run my life or like replace the work that I do full stop. But finding ways to integrate it has been super helpful. And like, to give a very specific example to complement yours, I used it today in a design project where I needed to visualize. I'm working with a financial customer, and they're rebranding to this idea of conveying the customer's financial journey, that they help them along the way to becoming financially stable, financially well, financial wellness, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I would ask ChatGPT, like, brainstorm some ideas for how to visualize that. Like, what are the symbols? What are the, we use the term visual grammar. What are the, things that relate metaphorically, visually to that concept? And it gave a bunch of really good ideas. And then I could just say, oh, let's pick that one, that one, that one. And I'll go do my work based on those concepts. It's not actually generating images for me or anything. It's just giving me ideas to work around. It's eliminating that blank canvas kind of thing. And honestly, I was stuck on this project last night where I was like, I couldn't think of anything. I was kind of burnt out. I was like, I just need to sleep on this. And I woke up this morning and used ChatGPT to my advantage, and it went really well. It really helped me out of that jam.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I don't know if we're jumping off of AI yet, but I think the things that I definitely think we've sort of talked about that are important is that we're double downing on strategy.
Yeah.
In all aspects. And we're using AI to just help our stories, tell our stories better.
Yeah.
And we're not using the tool in a way that we're so reliant on it. It's not using us, we're using it.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what it's pulling from us, but you know what I mean.
I think so. Here's an interesting wrinkle that I think we can add to this related to that topic. I asked ChatGPT, what do you think our audience would be concerned about relative to AI and design? And here's what it came up with.
Okay.
As its idea of the concerns of our audience, or of people like us that are creative service providers or dealing with design on the regular. The top concern, it said, was it devaluing entry-level roles. And I think we talked about it, where, the ability to just produce something is going to get easier and easier with AI. And that positions us directly to try and improve our ability to use our expertise, our thinking, our strategy, more so than just our hands, just our ability to create images without any sense of thinking behind it. I think that's where the shift is really going to be, and that there's not really going to be a threat necessarily to designers at large. There's only going to be a threat from AI to those people that are just doing production work.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say to empower those people, those early designers, people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And the beauty of these, from my standpoint, the beauty of these tools is it's giving you the time to develop your own archive. I mean, we've been talking about this throughout the podcast, the amount of books that Jake, you've read and introduced to this podcast alone. You now have more time to create that artillery of knowledge, that knowledge base of yours. Yeah, some Joe Schmo could go onto ChatGPT and pretend to be a little, a young designer and compete with you. But at the end of the day, at some point, that truth will be lifted if they are cutting corners the entire time. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they have no context to answer why they did what they did. And that's the thing. That's what, we know it. We were junior designers at one point. If you can't get the why,
Right.
It's going to be a really difficult time when you're in a very subjective space. So good luck.
Yeah. And to that point, because the bar is getting raised on the ability for things to be produced so easily, it's natural that imposter syndrome is going to get even worse. Because now people are going to compare themselves to, AI generated stuff that has no context to it. It only has polish. It only has flash.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's going to get the results that some business needs.
100%.
I
think that's why it's important to understand what that kind of, visual inspiration is to be used for. It's not to compare yourself against saying, I need work that looks like this. I need, my stuff needs to look more like that. That stuff exists in a vacuum. Like the dribbled work, the Instagram feeds that are all highly polished, they tend to not have any association with a real problem that's a real business is solving. They're kind of hypothetical. They're kind of just cool looking things.
Coming in hot.
Well, maybe it's just my
Throwing
feed.
Some shots at Instagram.
Well, at least the feed of like stuff. Yeah. And because I get
there's a lot of it.
I get caught up in that too, where I'm like, my stuff doesn't look as good as this, and it's like, well,
okay, I see.
It exists in a different space than that, because one is just flexing design skill, but not design strategy. Like it's not actually living in a real world. It's just an image. It's just art, which is great, but you got to look at it as not the same thing.
I had this lovely conversation with a very good friend a childhood friend of mine about actually how it's interesting. We're at this place where we're consuming at a fast rate so much information than we ever have. And we haven't evolved quite as fast, kind of like our spines. Like how we've talked about this, I think, in the spine model, that we're just like evolving so rapidly in one way, but our bodies aren't actually adjusting to that ability to take in all of this information. So we're in this forever guinea pig space with tech, but
perpetual brain rot.
Perpetual. Perpetual brain rot. So, but it is one of those things where it's like, well, it's, it's kind of like, it's already out. It's like Pandora's box. The worms are on the floor. They're out of the can. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it good to, I've gone through this, every other day, real talk. Every other day I delete my Instagram. I just like, I go on, I'm like, you know what? I need a moment. I'll go through it. And then I'm like pissed off, and then I go off of it. And then I'm like, I'm scrolling. I need to do other work. And then then I'm like, oh, well, now it's a Sunday afternoon and I want to see what people are doing, and whatever. So that's my personal where I'm at right now in my own social media journey, is the things being deleted every other day. And I don't even know how to access my Facebook right now because I can't remember my password. I think we're just at a point where I think, going back to your imposter syndrome statement,
we're not catching up. We're moving so fast. We're not.
No, and I do hope that there is a space. Maybe it's a tool. Maybe we have to rely on these tools to get us there at this point, to push that space of healing, rapid healing and rapid evolving, to adjust. But I do hope that us as like a population, a society, a whatever kind, gains a thicker skin to this influx of information, comparison, whatever, knowledge. I hope that comes, because I don't think it's going away.
Yeah.
And I think that's necessary, because if you don't have, social media in 2025 and you're a business, I mean, it's really hard. It's a new search engine. People are relying on it to vet things. Yeah. Arguably more than Google when it comes to like visual aids, So I hear your point. I do also think that maybe it's hard, because I really do appreciate, and I've been observing more and more creators on the social media space, Instagram specifically, the more visual ones, so Pinterest and Instagram. And like, I think we should be, if anything, leaning hard into them. I mean, I know that there is some lack of control in certain ways. I don't think it's a place to share your brain. It's definitely a visual cue place. Well, maybe it is. I mean,
yeah, it can be both, but it favors short attention span.
Or reels, like personalities. People love seeing faces and stuff on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just going to say, I do, not to combat your kind of beliefs on it, I have the same feelings. I'm feeling the same way with it, but I'm hoping I'm trying to get a better relationship with it, however that needs to be, so that I can activate it when I want to, and that I'm prepared for seeing whatever is going to happen, whether it's politically or design-wise. And then be able to shut it off when it's not serving me anymore. And I'm trying to gain that awareness, and it's hard. But right now, it's me just in brute force deleting it every other day.
Well, I think that's the perfect take on it, is that we've evolved, technology has evolved so fast that we haven't been able to keep up in terms of how we regulate how much content we're consuming, how we're taking it in, how we're letting it affect us. Because we're definitely at that point where we're just overrun with too many images and too many like AI generated content. Too much. There's just too much stuff. There's too much that I think it's going to take. We're at an inflection point where we are starting to then learn how to self-regulate. Like, what is real? What is fake? What is clickbait? What is actual meaningful, social media posts that are connecting and from a real person. I think it takes time to kind of curate that stuff, but it's going to exist for a little bit because it's still on the rise. So the more that we can advocate for people being conscious of what they're consuming and not being careful of how those things are influencing themselves, I think is a really powerful skill.
Yeah, and I would say just acknowledging like that it might be a necessary tool, but feel empowered to take a break once you recognize that it is no longer serving you in that way that you want it to.
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling positive about your experience, get off of that so you can get back to that positive experience.
Yeah.
I think like social media shutout periods are definitely on the rise. But I will also say, real quick, I am finding it really funny, but I think it's also one of those things that just is happening because of this moment. There's an enamorment in our just culture of like, or idolization of the term like homesteading, like people wanting to like do let's just like wipe ourselves of technology, live on some land and do this whole thing. And
it's anti-trend.
Anti-trend. It's funny you say that. It's my dismissive way. What is trend though? So you're determining trend as like the tech.
Yeah.
Okay, but homesteading could be a trend too. It's just not the same.
Well, that's my point.
People.
It's like homesteading has this idea of like, oh, we're gonna learn how to do everything ourselves. It's the better way to do it. And it's like, no, it's just another trend. It's another trend that's in response to this other trend.
But anti-trend to me would be like,
yeah, I guess that's true.
It would be something that's not cool. Whatever's deemed not cool. Which like I have an analogy, but it's actually like a Gen Z coolness that is like the antithesis of what we call not cool. Like they've brought back all the things that haunt us from our like early like fashion years, we'll say. Belly tops and stuff that like we're just like, no, what are you doing? But that's a bad analogy. I'm trying to think of something that would be like what is an anti-trend?
That's where I think it's like kind of ironic. Like,
oh, it's 100% ironic.
Yeah, it's people trying to be counterculture, counter pop culture, but at the same time that becomes its own, it's got its own formula, it's got its own style. It becomes its own, trend in and of itself. So it's not really escaping trendism. It's just another trend.
You know what I think is like I actually have an example now that I'm thinking of specifically in our past when we went to art school.
Yeah.
When ironically the richest kids at our school would then look like they just came out of a dumpster. wait, what is going on there? I don't know. It's like, it's not taboo culture. We won't go into that. It's probably not professional here, but it's giving that, like, what are you doing? Are you traumatized by your like elitist position that you then decided to roll in a dumpster? Like, I don't get it, but also very interesting. I definitely want to just keep watching this movie.
It's the Ivy League level crust punk. It's like not quite. You're living on the streets, but you go to art school, and that's your big conceit. You're a dirty art school person.
Yeah. Or like the most mentally healthy people are like emo.
Deeply fucked up.
They're like, no, I'm bad. And you're like, you're the most positive person I know. And you're like, what do you mean? I always find that like fascinating. I'm like, who beat you over with the positivity stick too hard that you just had to go down this path? I come from really loving, supportive family members that just gush about me. I have to be moody, You're like, what?
And it was terrible.
And it was awful. It was the worst experience
You don't
ever.
know my pain.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I was on brand, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's no anti-trend here.
Yeah, no.
Full on, down the middle.
You're wearing black. I'm not wearing black,
true.
but you are wearing black, which is designer's favorite color.
I'll tell you, I'm wearing black because my background is so visually stimulating. I wanted to have something that was a little simpler.
Yeah, I have thrift, another
there you go.
Very artsy, I'm not vegan, anyone, FYI. What is with that? Have you been asked that as like a designer? They're like, oh, are you like vegan, vegetarian? Like, what?
Yeah. People know not to ask me that. They're like, this guy looks like he likes meat.
Okay, maybe it's more of a more generalized female thing. I don't know. Or I'm just a very petite person. I don't know. But I'm just, in any case, I always find it funny when people are like, oh, like, do you have any preferences? And everyone's like looking at me and I'm like, no.
Do we have any gluten intolerances?
No, my Italian father would not have that even if I wanted to.
There's a good SNL skit with Jack Black that they're all talking about like using their but I'm a vegan as like a point of I'm better than you kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, in that position, then I'm kind of like, that kind of offends me. You must be vegan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, these are random, I don't know, not related to this, but personality takes. But
I do think designers get like tossed into that kind of, I don't want to say it's like woke personality, whatever. Like, because it's not like a blue collar job or an elitist kind of job. It's an artsy job.
Yeah.
They're like, maybe you're vegan. Maybe you're.
I actually don't mind that. I think that that's not like as like not that these are offensive. I found them more funny than anything, but they were like, to me, maybe mildly offensive. I did have like, I did have 2 comments that came up in the last like 10 years of just me as a person in general, where I don't know if it's the artsy side or what, but I didn't love it. One was someone told me that my personality belongs on the Big Bang Theory.
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
I don't know, but they're all like weebs, like they're all nerds, and so I'm like, I don't know how to, that's one thing. And then the other was
if I knew anything about that show, I would be offended.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very nerdy. It's just like a nerdy, quirky show. But it's a bold statement if you've seen this show.
Yeah.
And then the other one was, you look like you would drive a Volkswagen Bug.
Yeah. What does that say? What does that mean?
wild mistake.
Does it mean they're right if I'm like, well, that sounds fine?
I mean,
like, am I endorsing it then?
No, it's such a character, like it's such a character on the road. Like that's such a strong character. Like
well,
both
it's kind of
hippie
like, too, right? It's
is
kind of.
I have no idea. I think it's quirky. I think it's quirky.
Okay, fine.
The only bug that I ever saw in town growing up was like this woman that owned a local jewelry spot, and she was pretty like, yeah, I guess she was a little more on the earthy, like kind of.
Did she also sell crystals?
Yes.
Okay.
It was definitely that style. Yeah. It was okay. So that's what, hippie, new age hippie or something. Yeah. So yeah. You have any peculiar things that you can think of, or maybe I just have people that think they can freely tell me these things?
Well, no, most people are afraid to say shit to me because I'm like this big beardy dude, and I'm like, that's not the case. You could tell me whatever you want.
I just welcome insults.
No, okay, I wasn't saying that, but
no. I didn't mean it that way. I don't even know if these are insults.
I'd say I come off more unapproachable than I really am, as I love everybody, but got this look, man. This black t-shirt, black beard look.
Weird ending, I guess.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to talk about? I know we really wanted to chat about AI. I think that's really and like, well, I guess, we did first be like, what does the future hold? I think we've touched on it through AI. Is there anything else that we think we want to bring up that just feels like a good prediction based on what we're seeing in the field or working with businesses?
Yeah. So I was trying to research this thing. I think it's called MCP or MCR. Oh. There's like a new, there it is. Okay. Model Context Protocol. It's a new kind of way that AI is starting to standardize how multiple apps, service-based apps, can talk to each other. So right now, a lot of AI services are based around ChatGPT, trying to come up with the thought, trying to come up with the thinking, and then just shooting it off to a service provider and like having it then catch it and take care of it. So all of the thinking has to be done in ChatGPT, and all the executing has to be done in ChatGPT. There's some advancement where the actual way in which the thinking gets sent and responded to on the service side is going to be standardized and independent of ChatGPT, so that you can take some of that pressure off and services can start figuring out for themselves how to handle requests. So rather than saying like, ChatGPT, send an email for me, it'll just say, I can't do that because I don't have a fucking email provider. It can then reach out to email providers that have this kind of language model set up, this protocol, and then they can take care of it on their end. So my point being that things are getting even crazier as services start to enter the fold. Like right now, everything is housed in ChatGPT and then taken in and out and extracted. This is going to start making things even more crazy.
So can you break down that? So what you're saying is that, is this the future of a sales model?
No, I think this is the future of all kind of AI functions. Right now, it's very limited to what the AI provider can create because it wraps up all the knowledge and all the thinking into their model for how artificial intelligence is supposed to be, and then links into services that have their own like adapter. This new wave of things is going to have a universal adapter. So you can suddenly start just creating a web service of some kind, like a mail provider or a social network or whatever, that can just have an adapter set up to integrate with AI rather than having to define it for themselves. So we're going to see a lot more services like become AI enabled and work together.
Oh, I see.
Without having to like take on the pressure of figuring that out themselves. There's going to be a universal adapter, essentially.
Do you think ChatGPT or something like it is also going to just end up being basically like Google?
In what way? Like replacing search?
Replacing search.
Yes. I think Google's going to try and do that themselves because they already do.
Yeah.
Because they have that that answer. They prioritize their predictive answer first based on Gemini or whatever.
Yeah. But I feel like you might be more inclined if you're constantly using ChatGPT to say, hey, for twisting the way that I thought you meant when you use that example. But if you're like, hey, I don't have an email, what's the best person to get an email? Or what's the best company to use to get an email? Not person. And then ChatGPT say, well, then analyze based on the most current trends and the best, however they want to calibrate or determine, the most efficient, best bells and whistles, however the listing they want to do it, and then give you your top service providers, and then have you give that a link, much like Google, and then you could kind of do that. So then it kind of removes the ad component right now.
Oh, I think the ads are only going to get worse because
probably
because now things are going to get even easier to link together. So that whole like Google ad tracking across devices and platforms and apps, I think is just going to get like factors worse because we'll have this platform that can then connect everything together through AI.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you'll get really personalized stuff sent to you, but that's for better and for worse. So if you find ways to take advantage of that, it's great. But marketing and advertising is going to get more sinister, I think, because they're going to have more information on you.
Yeah.
It's a real monkey's paw with that one.
Never heard that term before.
Monkey's paw? It's like blessing and a curse. Like, cool. Got some good, we got some bad. But yeah, I think the through line is strategizers, strategery is here to stay. Thinking is going to top production. And rather than having a race to learn the latest thing about AI, just have it replace things that you want it to. Find ways to let it work for you.
Yeah. I've actually, a weird thing that's kind of not relevant, but sort of, that I want to bring up because it just sparked in my head. The marketing aspect, advertising, but not advertising. I've noticed that I've actually been going like anti-marketing route in my like purchases and everything.
In what way?
We actually had this conversation when Space Out was on, but I mean, I like in the bathroom alone, very minimal products.
Yeah.
Very like $10. You understand the ingredients, the things that are like based on a dermatologist, like, comparable, but I'm not buying into any of the elevated marketing there, or like
avoid the premium brands and just get
avoid the clout. Yeah. Premium brands. And then also like it's tough too when you look at reviews, they kind of get you in a trap online. And then we were also talking off air, I'm very hesitant. I haven't actually activated doing I know we follow Christo. He's got a couple things that he's coming down the pipeline, and I'm kind of like, I like him. I actually do find a lot of value out of like his kind of short things. But I'm also like seeing a lot of other things going on, and it doesn't seem to be only him on this like one specific subject that seems to be going viral right now. And so I'm being I'm just kind of squinting my eyes at all. So I think we've talked about a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah.
Or I think so. I don't know.
I think so. Should we
wrap up
and on a fun note?
Yeah. Well, my take would be to definitely look at I think right now, just in the state of the world, we need more positivity. It sounds stupid. It sounds actually wild because of what is going on in the world, but
Sounds like you drive a Volkswagen bus.
no, bug.
Bug?
Bug, not
Oh,
bus.
I thought bus.
The Volkswagen
Okay.
bug, not the bus.
That's worse somehow.
I see, that's why I said, you were like, I don't have any opinion on that. And I was like, that's interesting because there's a character on the road. Now you get it. Now, yeah. I'm in the little like clown car.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad you finally registered that because I was like, interesting. He didn't get the reaction that I was assuming he would, but okay. Well, anyway, yeah. So go out there, insult your designer friends with some bold statements. Tell them they're vegan and they drive a Volkswagen Bug, which no shame if you do. Are they even around?
I think they still do. I think they.
I don't know if they do. Now you got to Google it.
Yeah, I do.
I'm
gonna buy me one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And what else? Speaking of being really relevant, we're doing good at it.
Our whole thoughts are just in the pipeline right now.
Totally in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Feel some
and if anyone is listening that's like interested in podcasting, I will say, I know that the algorithm says to do it like every week or every other week, but we are in like a 3-week, we've been consistent with 3 weeks since November 1st. And I don't know about you. I think when you're running a small business, it's fine. We've been able to figure it out.
Yeah.
That's just my thought.
Yeah. Check back here in 3 weeks. You'll hear another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got no takeaways better than that. So see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Working with Designers. Kristin and I would love to hear from you. Please give us a like and send us your thoughts on whatever platform you found us on. Let us know what questions you want us to talk about in the next episode by filling out our contact form at workingwithdesigners.com. Thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.